Hi, my name is Taylor and this is Bing, and we are part-time van lifers in our 1985 Westfalia Vanagon. Again, my name's Taylor. My students call me Miss Schwoko or Miss Schwo. I'm a high school math teacher, typically special education, but I kind of have been doing different things lately. Summers are spent in the van. Bing is my co-pilot. I got this van 3 years ago, and when I got it, I bought it in Idaho, and on the way over, it was me and my mom. We were road tripping. The engine blew, like before we even hit Oregon. So we had it towed all the way down to California, put a new engine in it. This 38-year-old vehicle has received more love than any ex-boyfriend I have ever had. So it's been a labor of love, but it's been the one piece of my life that has given me the freedom that I really wanted when I went into teaching. So just being able to take the summers off and be able to go wherever I want has been kind of the biggest point in my life that was the most pivotal. All right, so this is the kitchen. We have a double burner stove, which just takes propane and actually came original to the van. This whole setup actually is original. The only thing that's been changed is the flooring, and then just kind of touching up some of this paint. I'm in the process of that. So since this is a part-time vehicle for me, I have not been in this vehicle since, I've been in it, small trips here and there, but like a long trip I haven't been in since August. So I typically bring everything out. This time I'm actually painting and I'm kind of cleaning up all my drawers and whatnot, just so I have a little bit more space to kind of figure out what I want to bring on my next trip. But this is typically like the kitchen area. This also pops down so I can do all of my food prep on here and then sink here. So it's just like a nice having a space that's already kind of built into it. And then if I'm not using it, I can just drop it down and utilize it as counter space. One of my favorite parts of this van that didn't actually even come with it, but after being in a couple of my friends' vans, I realized that I needed was these like magnetized shades. It's pretty interesting because typically there's like curtains that come in Westies, but they're ugly and dated and they don't actually keep out any light. So I knew I needed these. So I actually found a lady on Women's with Westies Facebook page who was like, yeah, they don't make any because all the different models' windows are slightly different. So she was actually able to custom make all of mine because she has a Westie. That was a 1985. So that was amazing. We'll tag her info at the end of this video because she definitely deserves the credit. And I think she's actually turned it into a hustle, as she should. So we will tag that. That's a very long, complicated question. For the past 5 to 6 years, I've been interested in nomadic living, whether that was like backpacking or traveling like in cars or camping or whatnot, any of that kind of traveling. And I remember following Kristen where the road forks and just always seeing that she was traveling with her 2 dogs. And at the time I had a cat and Bing. And so I was like, that's definitely what I want to, kind of try. But it's hard. It's a big life jump. And we ended up meeting up after really just like, in the village in Carlsbad. She was out here and I think she parked in my driveway for like how many months? It was perfect. It was amazing. And it was exactly what I needed. I would look out my front door and I would see her van, and every single morning at the time I had just been laid off. It was during COVID. Every single day when I would drink my coffee, and it sounds so creepy when I say it out loud, but I would stand out and I would see her van. I'm like, I need to make this happen. Like, I've been talking about it forever. I just lost my job. I'm making a job switch. I went from sales to now teaching, so special education, which is a big kind of jump. And so that was kind of the moment where I realized that I really wanted to make that life shift. All right, so I have my fridge here. It's just your standard chest fridge. It's Dometic, and it's been good. I've kind of struggled with it because, to be honest, so this actually, sorry, Bing, this is actually where the fridge typically is in Westies, but they're also powered by propane, and it just Logistically, they don't work well. They're always like never super cold, so stuff goes bad. That's the only thing that's not original to this vehicle, aside from the floors, that we did remove when we turned it basically into a cabinet. Ignore the paint, I'm painting. So like we did turn it into a cabinet. This used to be the fridge that came with this whole set. So now I have the chest fridge, which means I lose some space. But it is powered by my EcoFlow, which I believe is a 1600 Eco Delta Max, but we can link that as well. And then it actually runs all the way up through the pop top, and then up here is where my 150 watt solar panel is, that this is all powered from. And yes, that's not enough. My solar panel that I have up there right now, it powers my fridge, my EcoFlow. I say that very loosely because on my last summer trip, I went Oregon, Washington. So I did hit a lot of weather where there were times where I wasn't necessarily getting the power that I wanted. So I spent, it's an hour for 100%, which is nice. So it only takes about an hour to charge the EcoFlow, but I definitely found myself like needing to do that to charge like laptops or cell phones. All of my house lights are ran through the car's extra battery, which is really confusing and something that Vanagon did that isn't necessarily like most vans. So I have my car battery, which is over here, engines in the back, but then I have a house battery is what they call it. And that is what's running all of my like monitors to say how much water I have, how much battery I have. But then anything that's additional that I've added to the van, I have to run off that solar panel, and it just hasn't been enough. So technically when these were all built originally, they had, so if you look right here, you can see the tracks. There's actually another row of seats that went right here to basically, so you had both front seats, 3 in the middle, 3 in the back, so you could fit more people in the van. When I was in the process of doing the flooring, everywhere that I would read would say that it was really important to keep it all original. So we did keep those brackets in there should we ever want to put in that 3rd row of seats. But this is just like a laminate flooring that we put in, and then we just did the brown trim around the outside of it, just so it looked a little bit better than just the standard metal. But like any van, they start to pop and they start to kind of like, you can see there's like a little bit kind of where they bow. But that was kind of to be expected with those 2 big rivets that run down the middle of it. All right, so in van life terms, this is kind of bench mode because I don't always keep my bed in fixed bed. I can. I'm 5'6", 5'7", so sleeping up here is super uncomfortable and I don't like it. If I ever had shorter friends stay with me, I probably would have them do that. But this one, you basically just pop up. There's full storage under there. I also have the guy that owned this van before me was in a band, so he like was all into his speakers and stuff. So I've got my subwoofer in there, so the music's good, which is nice. And then this pretty much just pops out. And this is what turns into, I don't need that seat belt. This is what turns into our version of, hang on, I got locked. If I can get it up, there we go. All right, so this is what turns into bed mode. And then that is the pad that I sleep on, and then my sleeping bag. So I pull all of that out, and then that is how this then turns into like bed mode. Pivot! Like I'm fucking trying to get this fucking thing in here. I'm here because Kristen made me get in this, and this is probably the worst angle that's ever happened to my ready for this kind of pressure. I didn't see you there. So this is the bed in full mode. So if I were to keep it in bed mode, it would look something like this. This is where I keep like all my toiletries. And then this actually is the newest addition, which is not original to the van. I actually purchased a secondary door that was a cabinet, and I turned this into the closet. So this actually used to go straight back. This used to go all the way back to here, and it was where you could hang clothes from the front, and there was no side access, but it really didn't have that much capability as far as storage went. And I had seen this on a couple of the Go Westy pages on Facebook and whatnot, so I figured that it would be a good addition to basically put a board here, make this a small cabinet, and then turn this into big storage. And then all my shoes actually go down here. But then even more so, if you look at most Westies, they have a table that runs here, and this is the mount. I didn't have enough space to store that big table because normally this arm swings back. It actually covers up all of those cabinets. So it's like a lot of like taking stuff out to get anything in. So we actually removed the mount on the table and we put it on one of the cabinets, and it basically just sits like that. So it's a smaller version of a table, and then whenever I'm done with it, I just pop it off and then I just put it right back in the cabinet. This is probably one of my favorite seats in the house. This is that cabinet that we use as a table, but it's perfect because the other one that goes here is way too long and it's like kind of overbearing. But this is actually where we play cards. My partner and I are big like rummy players, if any of you play. And so we'll play rummy on this table, but it's nice because you can still move it. This is the same exact stand that was over there. So you have the capability to move the table from the front to the back or just put it on the thing if you don't want to use it. Another element that I think is kind of different, for me being a part-timer, I think a lot of time you get a lot of weekenders. This van is actually called the Weekender because it's usually used for just like quick trips. But being a teacher and taking, like 3-month trips has been interesting to say the least. I am currently in a relationship with a great guy. And so that has been interesting, being long distance for, a matter of, let's just say 3 months out of the year. But we're also both so independent that I think it's very needed, if that makes sense. I think it's good for both of us. I kind of get to see my community out on the road, while I think it kind of allows for him that time to kind of really grow and develop who he is as a person without me necessarily around. So our summers are super valuable to us. So since this is an 85, it is an annual. I always get that mixed up. So that is one thing that has been difficult with this van, just when it comes to like if I'm on the freeway or I'm in traffic, just actually shifting. But this vehicle, fun fact, actually came from Germany on a boat over from Germany to Long Beach. So the person that initially owned it, this is a big like Westy thing that I learned as I kind of got into the community, is people will go, how many owners? And they always want to know like how many owners. So we are the 4th owner of this vehicle. And the first one was an old couple that owned it forever. And they were the ones that actually imported it from Germany. So it's kind of cool because you can still see those little things within the vehicle. And then not that the fact that it's stick shift is that, but that's one of the things that I think is kind of fun. So as far as the kitchen goes, it's nice having this prep space. And then I also typically have a cutting board here that kind of fits around the sink. And then I do actually have that double burner, which is super nice when cooking. Because like I said, it just runs to my propane. But as far as like where I store my groceries and like pantry, I have 2 cabinets over there. That is actually where I predominantly keep all of my food. So whether it's dry goods, as long as it's not, refrigerated, all of my food typically goes in those 2. So we installed these little brackets up here because this is the original luggage rack. There we go. All right, so this is my solar. This is my travel toilet. And this is how we rested, so I can get solar anywhere. When it's not in use, obviously, I could have just gotten a prop stick or something. No, it doesn't make sense. And yes, this is what I do. And no, I probably won't change this from now until June 15th when I leave on my next trip. So that'll do. Yeah, thank you. All right, so this is the second bed up here, and this also is a full. Down there's a full, this one's a full, and then technically they say that you can sleep like a small kid up front. They have what's called a cot. I don't have that because I don't need it, but this pops up. And then it actually comes all the way down over this way. And then this is that full-size secondary bed. It's my greatest experience that I've had since being on the road. Like I mentioned, Kristen was definitely a huge expander for me and showing me what I wanted out of life and what I was willing to, move forward and make happen. But going to Van Life Pride and, meeting all this just community that existed that I had no idea about. That's something that I never really had fully experienced in my life. I don't really know if where I grew up had a huge queer community. I think that was definitely something that was kind of unspoken in my small town where I was from. So just going out on the road and meeting these incredible people that were not only so open with their sexuality, but just open with it sounds so cheesy, but like loving you for you regardless, that was super freeing for me because it wasn't really something that I'd experienced in the past. So yeah, thanks for stopping by and seeing our van. I think it's more so Bing's, but I like to say it's ours. But wait, there's more. Hey, hi friends. So I know that I mentioned that I'm only in my van part-time, and this is where I am the other half of the time. So come check out my tiny home. This is my front yard. There's not a backyard, but this is the front one. This house is 420 square feet, and I am in San Diego, California. Welcome to my tiny home. Basically, when you walk in is the largest of rooms, which probably doesn't seem that way, so hopefully you have that on 0.5. This is the living room. When I first came to look at this space, it was completely bare bones, so I did add the wallpaper and a lot of the plants, obviously, and the stuff that's hanging on the walls. Actually, when I first moved into my very first place ever, there was a bunch of pallets in the garage, and I actually made these wine racks. I'm super proud of them. So that's my little DIY on the area, and then my partner actually put in these shelves for me. My little hidden rainbows. That's not the only one, so you'll see the next one in a second. This is my kitchen, which it's a struggle to both fit in here. These are my colored glasses and some of my pride and joys. I love it because when you have people come over and you have your typical, glass cups, they all look the same and everyone always forgets which one's theirs. But it's cool kind of giving someone like an option to like pick their own glass and then they don't forget it. So it's kind of like an experience coming here and getting to pick whatever color glass you want for the night. Technically, when you are renting, they'll say studio or 1 bedroom. This was listed as a 1 bedroom. Technically, what defines a 1 bedroom is there is a door, which I do not have one of. It does feel like a second or a 1 bedroom just because it does step down. So there is a step down into the bedroom. This is a king size bed. And you can tell you have more than enough room to walk. I do have a dresser stored over here. And then I do have a very small walk-in closet right here. So that's kind of nice. By small, I mean literally this is it. You can see me in my walk-in closet. But it's nice just having some space to at least have some storage. Obviously under the bed is a big storage saver for me too. This is kind of my bedroom, so to speak. This is my bathroom, and it's really small, even smaller than the, actually no, not smaller than the closet. I take that back. So I'll let you walk through it. When you first walk in, you've got the shower. What's funny about this shower is it is actually the standard van pan size. So typically when you are doing a build out and you're putting in a shower in your van, you're actually putting in something probably similar, maybe a little bit smaller. So having a smaller shower has definitely prepared me for van life. Just because that is kind of, I think, one of the bigger things that people always say is like, well, where do you shower? Having that is already small enough. But yeah, this is my little bathroom. Since my space is so small and I am only working with 420 interior square feet, my outdoor space has definitely become a space of its own. So it's kind of a secondary living room. Actually put in the TV out here, so we're able to watch outdoor movies, even during like the winter times. I run it to my EcoFlow, so I pull my EcoFlow from my van, bring it out here. That's how we're powering the TV. I've got my bird feeders up here. So yeah, so pretty much all year round, especially in San Diego, really spoiled. But this is just kind of the place to be. Living room is definitely where I'm at when it's cold, just because I am somewhat close to the coast, so it does definitely get cold. But the outdoor space is kind of the good spot whenever it's good weather. One of the biggest things that I get asked when people come over is if all of these succulents that are all these plants were here when I got here. They weren't. I'm a big time gardener. I've got my potting bench over here, and I actually inherited all of these from a good friend that was moving to Georgia. So I went over to his house and basically got hundreds of thousands of succulents. Came over, did a bunch of cuttings, and then my partner James was able to put the facing of this wood on to basically create DIY planter boxes, because they started like this. So we kind of just put the face up, we were able to put the soil in, and then all of these were cuttings. So now as they kind of get a little bit bigger, so like any of them, if they even get a little bit bigger, I'll break them off, plant them in, and so kind of just keep it going. So you have officially seen both of my homes. Obviously they are my homes for different seasons of my year, which is really fun. And they both have a really special place in my heart. So it really means a lot that you guys kind of came along and saw my homes. You can follow me at bythewaytay_ on Instagram. And then I will be hitting the road on June 15th. So if you want to meet up, I'd love to see you.